Welcome to the Story Vault, where every tale is unlocked. From myths and legends to horror, fantasy, life stories, and real events. Every story has a place here. Now, let's open the vault and begin today's story. When people think of YouTube in Pakistan, a handful of names instantly come to mind. The platform has grown into a place where comedians, vloggers, educators, and gamers reach millions of viewers every single day. Among them, one name has always stood tall: Saad Rehman, more popularly known as Ducky Bhai. For years, he was seen as a pioneer of the roasting scene, a bold content creator who did not shy away from calling people out, who built a loyal fanbase that followed him not only for his humor, but also for his authenticity. And yet, in a shocking twist of fate, the same man who was once celebrated as one of the country's biggest internet personalities now finds himself surrounded by police officers, locked in a jail cell, and facing some of the most serious allegations any influencer in Pakistan has ever confronted. The arrest of Ducky Bhai was not just about one person's downfall, it was a wake-up call, a mirror held up to the entire influencer industry, forcing everyone to ask, where do we draw the line between entertainment and exploitation? The story begins quietly. On an ordinary day at Lahore's Allama Iqbal International Airport, passengers were going about their business. Some were returning from long trips, some were preparing for family reunions, and some were just beginning their journeys abroad. Amidst the chaos, Saad Rehman, with his recognizable face and usual confidence, was intercepted by authorities. What happened next spread across social media within minutes. The country's most famous YouTuber was being escorted by police. No cameras were staged, no scripts written. This was raw reality, and it stunned millions. But why? What had pushed the authorities to take such drastic action against a content creator? The answer lies in a word that carries a dark weight: gambling. For months, authorities had been tracking the promotion of certain mobile applications and websites that claimed to offer users the chance to win quick money, often through sports betting or trading games. On the surface, these apps looked like harmless entertainment. They featured flashy designs, colorful icons, and easy-to-use interfaces. They promised quick cash, instant wins, and life-changing earnings. But beneath the glitter was a trap. People who downloaded and used these apps often lost their savings, trapped in a cycle of risk, hope, and eventual financial ruin. To the average user, these apps might have seemed like just another internet trend, but to law enforcement and financial regulators, they were illegal gambling platforms operating in plain sight. And the troubling part, they were not spreading in the shadows. They were being promoted by the very people audiences trusted most: influencers. The first information report filed against Ducky Bhai laid out a list of allegations. It mentioned names of platforms like 1xBet, Binomo, Bet365, and B9 Game. Each of these apps had a history of being flagged in multiple countries for gambling-related activities. In Pakistan, where strict laws govern financial services, these platforms had no authorization to operate. And yet, millions of Pakistanis had already been exposed to them, largely because of social media promotions. According to the FIR, Ducky Bhai was accused of actively promoting these apps through his content, encouraging viewers to try them, and even earning commissions when users signed up through his links. The authorities called it electronic forgery, spamming, and cheating. They claimed that these were not innocent advertisements but calculated endorsements designed to profit from people's losses. When he was first brought before the magistrate, the courtroom was filled with tension. His lawyers argued that he was a content creator, not a criminal, that his job was to entertain, and that if he had promoted a platform, it was just another sponsorship deal. But the prosecution painted a different picture. They described him as someone who knowingly encouraged people to engage with gambling services, someone who profited while ordinary citizens lost money, and someone who acted without approval from Pakistan's financial authorities. The court initially gave the authorities 2 days to question him, 2 days to go through his devices, his financial accounts, his sponsorship contracts. But as those 2 days ended, investigators claimed they had barely scratched the surface. They returned to the judge, asking for more time. They said there were hundreds of files to analyze, dozens of suspicious transactions, and communications with companies that operated abroad. The judge agreed, granting another extension, and then another, and another. Each time, his stay in custody grew longer. Each time, his family grew more anxious. Each time, his fans grew more restless. For his family, the ordeal was unbearable. His wife, Arub Jaitwa, herself a figure with a following, was dragged into the storm. She was asked to appear before investigators. She was forced to seek pre-arrest bail, to defend herself from potential charges, to stand firm as rumors swirled around her name. For Ducky's parents, who had watched their son rise from an ordinary boy with a camera to a household name, seeing him in handcuffs was nothing short of a nightmare. And for his siblings, the harassment was constant everywhere they went. People whispered, speculated, or outright accused. Outside the courtroom, the public was divided. Some fans defended him fiercely, saying he was being targeted unfairly, that many influencers had promoted similar apps, that he was being made a scapegoat while others got away. They flooded social media with hashtags, memes, and emotional pleas for his release. Others, however, saw the arrest as justice served. They pointed to stories of people who had lost thousands of rupees on these apps, families who had been torn apart by gambling addiction, and young users who had fallen into debt. For them, holding influencers accountable was not just fair, it was necessary. And then came the bigger question: money. Everyone wanted to know how much he had earned. His YouTube income was no secret. Creators with millions of subscribers and consistent uploads often make significant amounts through ad revenue, brand deals, and merchandise. But was his YouTube income enough to explain his lifestyle? Or had these gambling app promotions brought in far more money than his public content? Authorities hinted at huge amounts. They said the transactions were in the millions. They claimed he had played a role that went beyond influencer marketing, that he acted as a representative, a manager, even a partner in some of these platforms. Whether those claims were exaggerated or not, they added fuel to the fire. Suddenly, every car he owned, every vacation photo he shared, every branded outfit he wore became a subject of scrutiny. People no longer saw them as symbols of success, but as possible evidence of ill-gotten gains. And yet, amid the storm, one truth remained: he had not been convicted. He was still under investigation, still technically innocent until proven guilty. But the court of public opinion was relentless. In a way, the damage was already done. His reputation was no longer untouchable. His career was no longer invincible. His image had been permanently altered. The case also raised uncomfortable questions for the entire influencer industry. For years, creators had promoted products without much oversight. Some promoted diet pills without medical backing. Others promoted get-rich-quick schemes without financial checks. And now, gambling apps had entered the mix. The arrest of Ducky Bhai sent a chill down the spine of every influencer who had ever taken money from a shady sponsor. It forced them to ask, if it could happen to him, could it happen to me? Meanwhile, investigators pressed on. They said they had extracted data from his phones and computers. They said they had tracked payments made to accounts linked to him. They said they had chat records showing discussions about promotional campaigns. His lawyers fought back, saying much of it was circumstantial, that promoting an app was not the same as being part of its operations, that he was being unfairly targeted because of his fame. Other YouTubers remained largely silent. Some offered vague words of support, saying they hoped for his safe release. Others avoided the topic altogether, fearing that speaking out might bring unwanted attention to their own past promotions. A few, quietly, admitted that the entire industry had become too comfortable with questionable deals, and that sooner or later, something like this was bound to happen. As the days turned into weeks, the uncertainty grew. Was he going to be released soon? Was the case going to drag on for months? Would he face trial? Would he be banned from creating content? Each day, fans checked for updates, hoping for good news. Each day, his family prepared for another court hearing. Another difficult night What makes this case so impactful is not just the fate of one man, but the questions it forces us all to ask. In a country where millions of young people look up to influencers as role models, what responsibility do those influencers have? If a creator promotes a harmful product, should they be held accountable? If a viewer chooses to spend money on something illegal, where does the blame lie, on the app, on the promoter, or on the individual? Ducky Bhai's rise was meteoric. His fall, for now, is tragic. What is certain is that the case has already left an irreversible mark on the history of Pakistani YouTube, and as his fans wait, as his critics demand justice, as his family prays for relief, the entire nation watches, because this is no longer just the story of one man. It is the story of an industry at a crossroads, of a generation forced to confront the consequences of unchecked influence, and of a society learning, painfully, that even laughter comes with responsibility.